Hello everyone and welcome to Partners in Public Safety. This is a program where we examine what your police, fire, and emergency management teams here in the city of Wilmington are up to on a daily basis to keep us protected and to protect our communities, and at the same time work with us so that we can help them do their jobs better. In fact, that's, if you think about it, that's the name of the program, Partners in Public Safety. We all need to work together to improve public safety generally for the city of Wilmington. You know, we're going to start today with a topic that is very disturbing in that when you and I leave our houses in the morning and go off to work or school or any other social event you may have, we always think we're going to come back home. And then we've had recently what happened in Boston, or just a matter of weeks ago, what happened at the Newcastle County Courthouse. Something can happen in a moment's notice, and suddenly our lives are changed. And the one thing we wanted to focus on today at the beginning of the program is we're not going to talk in detail about the Boston situation because that, of course, is continuing to develop. But we do have our police, fire, and emergency management folks who work with us every day to make sure that if something were to happen, they are there at least with us to guide us along, give us instructions, give us details, and so on and so forth. So with that in mind, let me welcome to the program, at the top of the program, Fire Chief Anthony Good. Good to have you with us.
Always good to be here, John.
Thank you. And also Police Corporal Mark Ivy. So two of our branches, if you will, of public safety represented with us today. And, you know, just your thoughts. I mean, here we are. We're sort of in ever since 9/11, I think, we've been in I call it the 9/11 mentality, where we know we have to be more vigilant. We know I think some of our trust in our fellow human beings it goes away a little bit. But just your thoughts on here we are again with Boston. It just happens at a moment's notice.
Unfortunate incident. Unfortunately, for the people of Boston and the citizens there, they're dealing with something that they probably thought they would never see, especially at the Boston Marathon. Mm-hmm. I mean, what a nostalgic event. This goes on every year. But because it goes on every year and the city of Boston is always prepared for it, they had a number of police officers and firefighters and EMS workers working that day. And they were there on scene, ready to respond, and they were able to respond. Quick ability to get to the people that needed their services immediately. And that was really what saved the day for a lot of the individuals that were involved. We had that same thing here in Wilmington with the police, the fire department, our EMS services. They're all working in concert with everybody, mm-hmm. and under the direction sometimes of Office of Emergency Management right here in this building for the EOC, you know, when we go into activation here. Mm-hmm. And I think it's important for the citizens of Wilmington and the residents and the visitors that are coming through Wilmington to understand that even when this incident happened, we were on high alert. We have what we call a threat committee, and that threat committee takes and evaluates the threats throughout the state and the United States of America, through the nation. We look at all the things that could possibly affect Wilmington, and if those things are going to be localized in the area that they're in, or if it could be spread into other areas and regions. We deal with the FBI, Homeland Security. We talk to the Delaware Valley Information and Intelligence Community, who give us information and give us up-to-date information. Every day this morning I've received several security alerts and bulletins about the Boston tragedy and the things that are happening there and what's going on throughout Boston and Massachusetts and how they're going to deal with this. And then, of course, it's spreading because people walk. So people move around.
Yeah, and actually that's one of the reasons why we present this program, because you come to work every day and you know what your job is as a firefighter. You come to work every day, Mark, knowing what your job is as a police officer. But sometimes we just don't know what we're going to have to mm-hmm. deal with on a daily basis. And talk a little bit about working with our firefighters here, police and fire working together.
Sure. Well, also, John, importantly, we've been training and preparing, both the police and the fire department. This is something we train and prepare for every day. It's not something we see very often, mm-hmm. thankfully, but when an incident, especially as high profile as what happened in Boston, occurs, it becomes pretty apparent very quickly how much training has gone on behind the scenes that you may not even be aware of. And that's something we're doing here in Wilmington. We're preparing, we're making sure that we have people trained in all areas, whether it's hazmat response, EOD response, a SWAT team type response, fire response. Again, we're making sure that we're ready for that moment. And part of that is making sure that we're ready to work together. Because if we're working on two separate lines of communication, we're going to be pulling in different directions.
Yeah.
And as you can see, what happened in Boston, it was that coordinated response of the first responders, EMS personnel, fire personnel on scene. Remember, there was a separate fire that happened at the library there in Boston also. Combined with the security efforts of the police officers there and the FBI doing an investigation. That's all important things that have to go on together in concert in order for a successful resolution.
Great coordination. It's great coordination. It's the incident management system. You know, we use NIMS throughout the nation for national incident management. And everybody working under in concert with this system knows what their role is, who they report to, how they report, the security measures that are in place to make sure that the wrong people aren't getting the information. And that's how police and fire and EMS, we work together on all this.
And that's what you pay us to do. And that's what we're in. We spend a lot of time, effort, and money, to be honest, on these things. And sometimes I know when we're talking about budgets and financial crises like we have in the last year or so, we wonder, what's this money going towards? Well, here's a prime example.
This is what you pay for.
Yeah, and I think that's an important point for taxpayers. They always ask that question, or they have concerns, obviously, when taxes go up. But if I just appeal to those watching the program, just think about it for just a moment. I know I take comfort knowing that our police, firefighters, and emergency management team are trained. They do continual training. They know how to deal with situations like this because, quite frankly, and I'm sure if you ask yourself the question too, if something were to happen to us near our home, or if we're shopping and something happens where we're shopping, you know, I'm not the type of person necessarily who knows or can think that quickly on what to do, but I really do. I take comfort knowing that the emergency folks have arrived and you're on the scene. Chief Good mentioned something in terms of the Boston situation, which was, thank goodness for the people who were injured. I know only three dead thus far, but for those injured, thinking that the Boston Marathon naturally has on site medical personnel.
That's right.
And they're there for things like heart attacks or other injuries that may occur to the runners. But thank goodness they were there on site.
It is. It's incredible. I mean, but you have to prepare for that. We have a lot of marathons here in Wilmington. We have the Wilmington bike rallies coming up here. We're going to do things. We have to be prepared for that. And I think people, they dismiss the fact that we are actually behind the scenes putting all of this together. This is a daily concentrated effort on how we protect the citizens of Wilmington and the visitors that come through. So it's a difficult thing to do for most people. They don't understand. I joke that we are all hazards emergency response organization. And it's because we go to anything and everything. You call, we come. So we have to be prepared to do this, and we have to train constantly. Does it cost? Yes, insurance costs. But it pays off if you have it in place.
And you know, we've had the opportunity, the three of us and many more people around the city of Wilmington have had the opportunity to sit here right in this very emergency management center where we tape this program. And of course, there are incidents in our city that rise to the level of having to open the emergency management center. There are other incidents that don't rise to that level, but require just as much coordination in terms of manpower, equipment, and so on.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, you know, I think it's good that we've taken just a moment to stop and begin this program with some reflection on the fact that we are protected by our men and women in the fire, police, and emergency management teams here in the city. And you know, we just don't know what's going to happen from day to day, but we have to go on and move on with our lives.
That's right. You have to live.
You have to.
Yeah, we do.
It's important to feel safe. You need to be able to go out there every day and live your life. We all do. You know, unfortunately, tragedies do happen, and they will happen in the future. But again, you're paying, when it comes down to it, you're paying for excellent protection, and you have that here in the city of Wilmington. So you should feel free to go out and enjoy public events. Enjoy your life, have fun, don't live in fear. And we're going to be here to look after you the best we can.
Okay, that's a great message from you, and thank you both for being here. Our fire chief, Anthony Good, thanks for always joining us on the program.
I appreciate everything you guys are doing, John. This is a great program.
Thanks. And Corporal Mark Ivey. Mark, you're going to be back with us in a little later on in the program. We're going to talk a little bit more about police matters. But our program will continue. It's called Partners in Public Safety. We thank you for joining us, and we'll be right back.
Together now, we can make it better now. Come on, can we do it? you know that we can. We'll rope it up, cause we know how to jump. We'll roll it out, cause we know how to skate. We'll cut it down, cause we know what to eat. We'll swap it out, we eat healthy stuff. Can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. Can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. Yeah, well come on.
Today's a good day to grab your kids and hang out with them for an hour. Dance, walk, play a sport, or cook a healthy meal. Because just moving a little and eating better every day can help make you and your child healthier.
Can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. We'll ball it up, cause we know how to hoop. We'll mess around, cause we know how to play. We'll drop it down, cause we know how to dance. We'll veg it up, veggie night and day. Can we do it? Yeah, you know that we can. All in together now, we can make it better now.
Search We Can to find doable tips and activities that you can use every day to keep you and your kids healthy.
We welcome you back to Partners in Public Safety. We present this program because, quite frankly, we're very proud here in the city of Wilmington of our police, firefighters, and our emergency management team. And we think it's important that we bring you information so that you as citizens know what they do on a daily basis, what they do in emergency situations, and how they are here to protect us, and most importantly, how we can continue to work with them so they can do their jobs even better than they already do. One of the questions I have for you is, do you know that in the city of Wilmington we have what's called a Marine unit? Do you know we're fortunate enough to be able to fight fires and deal with other emergencies on the waterways here, either in Wilmington, such as the Brandywine or the Christina, and the Delaware River, or near us, which would be the Delaware River. So we have this wonderful opportunity that many other areas around us do not have, which is this Marine unit. It's actually called Fire Station number 7. So let's just take a short break here, and we're going to visit with Lieutenant Joe Kempista, and he's going to take us on a little bit of a tour of this new state-of-the-art 70-foot fire boat that we are so grateful to have here in the city of Wilmington.
Good morning. My name is Lieutenant Joe Kempista from the Wilmington Fire Department Marine Unit. I want to welcome you down to our new fire boat that we just took delivery this past July. This boat replaced an old boat that we had that was about 30 years old. The fire department's actually been doing marine firefighting and rescue and environmental on the rivers for about 45 years now. This vessel's, like I said, is brand new. It's state-of-the-art, has all the latest electronics, navigation equipment. It's also set up for mass casualty, for if we have something where there involves a lot of victims, that we can handle about 6 or 12 people, very similar to an ambulance. I'm standing on the back deck at this moment, and actually underneath me there's 4 large engines. They're 825 horsepower each. They're diesel engines. The water that we pump is actually being pumped directly out of the river, and it's supplied to the 5 standard monitors that you see on the vessel. The one over top of the center of the boat will pump 5,500 gallons a minute. One fire truck will only pump about 1,500 gallons a minute. The 2 forward monitors will pump 2,000 gallons each. All 3 of them are remote control from inside the cabin, utilizing a pump operator. So we really need 2 people minimum to operate this boat safely. If we're going out on a rescue or something, then we're going to have a full contingency of 5 people. If you look behind me here, this is the main entrance off the back deck to get you into our medical room. This is where we have patient berth. Top side we have for 2 people. Down below there's 4 additional berths. There's plenty extra room if we have to bring more people in on backboards or stoats baskets. There's additional oxygen down below that's actually piped in. And there's a full array of medical equipment such as they carry in an ambulance and also a paramedic unit. Also down below we have a galley area which is set up for a major communication center. So if we go out on oil spills, that we can bring our other people on board, the scientists and everybody, and that gives them a workstation to work in. Our computer is Wi-Fi, so it's a hot spot for them to get onto their own sites and work on. In addition, they can also pull up our navigation systems on board, our FLIR, which is a thermal imaging camera. They can record all the camera systems that are going on board the boat and plus the FLIR, they have full control of that if they want to look at any certain thing along the shoreline. Up top side is the pilot house. This is the heart of the fireboat where everything is operated out of. Like I said, we have 4 engines, so there's an array of gauges up there that kind of scares people when they first look at it. But it's no more than just having manual takeover and controls. A lot of safety stuff is built into the vessel. There's a pretty unique pump panel because there's 4 fire pumps on board. We have a pump operator that'll handle all the fire flow of water, and he can also monitor any foaming operations that we might get involved in. Navigation, again, we can see where other ships are. They can see us through what they call an AIS system. We can track the Coast Guard, we can track the other police agencies. We work a lot with the Delaware State Police, the Wilmington Police, and the Coast Guard.
Well, there you have it. Beautiful boat, and it's one thing to see it stationary as it was in that report. It's another thing to be out kind of hitching a ride if you can on it. Not that many citizens get an opportunity to do that, but I can tell you, I know how proud our firefighters are of having this piece of apparatus available to them. The boat, by the way, is docked at what's called station number 7. And if you're heading towards Southbridge and you're going over what I call the 4th Street Bridge, you'd look to your left, and actually you'll see that's where the Marine unit is set up, right off of that 4th Street Bridge. With us right now is the Deputy Chief of the Fire Department for Operations, Deputy Chief of Operations, and Michael Donahue is here. Michael, thanks so much for being here.
You're welcome, John.
We appreciate this. Now, the fireboat comes under your command as the Deputy Chief of Operations.
Yes, sir. Falls under Suppression Division.
Yeah, and I know I kind of gushed a little bit about the boat, if you will, as a citizen, but I think rightly so. I mean, we're very fortunate to have this piece of apparatus available.
Yes, we are. It's a regional asset. We got this boat through a port security grant, the 2007 port security grant. The boat cost roughly $3.3 million. It's a 70-foot boat with 4 825 horsepower jet-driven engines, plus a 12,000 gallon a minute pump. There's nothing like it in the region.
And for those who may not understand why it's important to have a piece of apparatus, you were telling me before the program that we're very fortunate in Wilmington to have such a fireboat, and the closest one, I guess, would be Baltimore to our south, and Philadelphia.
Yes, sir.
But we step forward not only for what happens in Wilmington, but regionally.
Yes, sir. We are a regional asset, and we will go wherever we are called. We can be called for numerous things: chemical spills, fires, stranded vessels, people sick on the big ships out in the anchorage, out on the tankers and things like that. So we do just about everything with the boat.
Yeah, and now some people will, and even some council members have questioned, and they have a little bit of fun with it, about, they call it the Fire Department Navy, I think is what they call it.
Yes.
But that's okay. Part of the reason why we do the program is so that people understand that, I think there's a beauty to having waterways in your city and running through your city.
Yes.
And near your city. It's one of the attractive features, I think, of the city of Wilmington. If you have those, then you got to be prepared for what may happen on those waterways.
That's exactly right. We've invested a lot in the infrastructure up in the riverfront area. Mm-hmm. That boat is part of our fire protection plan for that area. Also, we have a large port. We have ships coming in all the time, and this boat is a vital part of our fire protection plan at the Port of Wilmington.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, listen, we have to run, but I want to end on this. Michael Donahue, as the Deputy Chief of Operations for the City of Wilmington, is part of our fire department's history. His father was at one time the Chief of Fire here in the City of Wilmington, Jerome Donahue, and Mike told me a story that your dad purchased the very first piece of what would be marine apparatus.
Yes, it was the first fireboat. Approximately 1981 they purchased. It was retrofitted by the members of the fire department to become a fireboat. That stayed in service approximately 8 years, and then Chief Sean Mulhern purchased another boat.
Yeah.
We sold that one, and It was a tug,
Yeah.
65-footer, and the members of the department, especially Lieutenant Joe Capista, retrofitted that into a fireboat.
Yeah.
Now, this is the first fireboat that we have designed from scratch to be a fireboat.
Yeah, that's great. Well, good. And we remember your dad fondly. Many people in the city of Wilmington do.
Thank you.
And thank you for the continuing fire service in the family and for all you do for us in Wilmington.
You're welcome,
Appreciate
John.
it.
Thank you.
All right, Deputy Chief Michael Donahue with us in this segment of the program, and we're going to continue in just a moment. Don't forget now, many of you have told us that you really like our cold case segment that we have toward the end of the program. So that's coming up in just a moment. Stay with us.
Today, school kids rely on the internet for so many things: homework, math, research. But what about kids who don't have internet at home? Hello, I'm Theo Gregory, Wilmington City Council President. The internet is essential, as many as 80% of low-income families do not have access at home, including many right here in Wilmington. So help bridge this gap by supporting local broadband adoption programs. Let's get more students and families connected to the power of the internet.
And we continue now with Partners in Public Safety. This is our Wilmington Police segment, and our regular contributors to this segment, of course, Corporal Mark Ivy and Corporal Jermaine Crawford. Good to have you with us today.
Nice to be back.
You actually
Hey, John.
brought a guest with you, and I believe Corporal Mark Ivy is going to introduce the guest, because we're going to talk about, you know, one of the things that concerns us all here in the city of Wilmington: guns, these firearms, these weapons that are out there. There are too damn many of them.
That's true.
Who's the guest?
Well, we brought with us today Sergeant Ronald Munoz, who is the lead investigator for our firearm squad. And this firearm squad was created to help investigate specific firearm crimes and to track firearms. And that's obviously very important in solving this ongoing gun problem that we have in this city.
Absolutely.
So Sergeant Munoz is going to talk with us a little bit about what that unit's doing.
You got a big job out there.
Definitely. Good to be here. Just trying to spread the word out to the public about what we're doing. This program was implemented mid-July of last year, and since then we've recovered numerous weapons. And I'm just here to tell you and tell the public what we're doing.
Yeah. Now, what do you need from, again, Partners in Public Safety is a show. We want people to be able to work with us. What do you need us to do to tell you if we know someone has a weapon, or what do you need from us?
Well, this is a criteria that you know, we ask the public. Definitely, we need the public support, and why we're here is to spread the word and get the numbers out so the public knows where to reach us.
Okay. And so, for instance, if somebody knows of a weapon that may be out there that somebody shouldn't have, or they're using it for purposes other than what we're guaranteed under the Second Amendment, if you will, what number do they call and maybe provide a tip?
That's a very good question, and I just want to reemphasize that this is for illegal weapons. People, criminals, felons that are possessing illegal weapons. And some of the things that we ask is if you have any information about criminals with guns, or somebody selling illegal guns, or anybody who's committing crimes with weapons, you can contact us. And we have several numbers which I'll give you right now. One of them is Detective Division main line, which is 302-576-3620. And we have our confidential tip line, which is 302-576-3655. Those two numbers are our main numbers, but if you still would like to reach us, there's another number. The third number that I'll put out is the 1-800-TIP 3333. That's the Delaware Crime Stoppers tip line.
Right, okay. Now, on a regular basis, like on a daily basis, you're out there with your colleagues that are part of the firearms squad, and you're part of regular crime solving and dealing with issues that come up here in the city. And obviously, though, the emphasis is on guns that are out there illegally. But at the same time, we the citizens can kind of lead you to some other things that are going on in the city that you may not know about.
That is a good point. For the most part, we follow up on tips that the community at large provides us. Being said, we also help out patrol. We do DNA swabbings for weapons and criminals to match them to those weapons that later on will terminate or come to an arrest. But mainly the tip line, that's the main thing that we count on, the public's help.
Yeah. Now, I could be wrong about this, but if you go back in the history of the police department, was a specialized firearms unit always part of police operations, or is that something relatively new because of the proliferation of guns?
To me, this is pretty new. I know that we've had street crimes units, the jump out squads, but this is more technical. What we do is more investigative. It's more it's more detailed. What we do, it's more complex.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm happy to know as a citizen that we have a specialized unit, if you will, dealing with firearms, because that continues to be a problem. There are many people out there who have guns legally, and that's their right to have those. But unfortunately, our city and many other cities around this nation are being ruined by people who just have no responsibility and are out there committing illegal acts. But Sergeant, we want to thank you for being with us. I want to do this, if I can. I want to, on the screen one more time, you gave a set of 3 numbers, and you don't have to repeat those numbers, but those numbers should be up on your screen right now. I want you to see them again. If you know of someone who is illegally dealing in guns, has a gun, whatever, make sure you call our Wilmington Police Department and report the information to them. It's going to help all of us, and it's going to help us create a safer city. All right, so thank you again, Sergeant,
Thank you,
for being here. All right, now, coming up next is a very popular segment on the program. We get citizens, we've gotten lots of nice comments from citizens. It's called Cold Case, and we're going to come right back with details. Alrighty, Cold Case, and Corporal Jermaine Crawford, you have some details, and our victim is Charles Gordon.
Charles Gordon, yes, sir.
Tell us a little bit about what happened with Charles Gordon. Hopefully people, I hope they have a pencil and paper, take some details from you.
I'll give you some information, and hopefully this will jog some memory. About 8 years ago, early October 6th through October 8th, there was a brutal stabbing in the Crestview Apartments. Charles Gordon, who was well known in the area, well liked, and was known as possibly an amateur boxer, was involved in a situation where someone entered his apartment, and at this point, investigation says that he was allowed in the apartment, was brutally stabbed, was stabbed several times. A resident in the area noticed that Charles wasn't around for some time and was concerned, so they alerted the apartment building security. The security in turn went to check on the Charles, went to his residence and noticed that he was laying on the ground unresponsive, laying on the floor. And they notified the police, and this was around October 8th. So there's no telling how long Charles was laying on the ground or how long he was deceased. We responded to the scene, and unfortunately, Charles was deceased and we located multiple stab wounds on Charles. And at this point, we don't have much information regarding this situation. What we do have is some items collected from the house, and we're doing DNA testing. Crime Stoppers was notified about 2 possible suspects, in which our detectives were able to interview them. And unfortunately, they weren't allowed to sign warrants for their arrest because of some type of issues with the Attorney General. Also, we have we tried to search the surveillance footage, and unfortunately, the surveillance footage on that floor and that corridor where Charles's apartment was inoperable. Wow. Also, we also checked the books, the log, in which people sign in when they come into the building, and unfortunately, the books weren't kept.
Okay. Did you say what, it's Crestview Apartments, it's over on Market Street.
The 2700 block of North Market Street.
2700 block. Did you say what floor?
The 5th floor.
5th floor.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
5th floor, 8 years ago.
8 years ago. Between October 6th and October 8th, we were notified around 10:30 October 8th.
How about that? All right. Now, when these cases go cold, you mentioned some things that did happen. For instance, you did identify some people you wanted to talk to. You went through all that. But when these cases go cold, obviously it's just because of a lack of something. I mean, they're just, nobody saw a vehicle. Nobody saw any suspicious activity. But that's what you're trying to jog. You're trying to jog their memories now by bringing these back to us to see what we can do.
Some people, when these situations occur, it's fresh in people's minds, so they have information. In this case, someone called Crime Stoppers, and we had 2 people who we were able to interview. However, once things go dormant, people tend to forget.
Right.
And that's when we come into the cold case situation.
All right. Well, there may, I'm sure, family, friends of Charles Gordon out there. We're doing all we can here to see if there's some way to solve this cold case. Corporal Jermaine Crawford, thank you for bringing it to us.
Yes, sir.
If people have any questions or think they have information, is there a telephone number they can call?
Yes, they can call Detective Kimberly Path at 302-576-3643.
All right, very good. That's on the screen right now. We'll keep it up for just a second or two as I thank you all for being here with us. Corporal Mark Ivy, Sergeant was great today, and thank you for all you do out on the streets here in terms of these firearms. And Corporal Jermaine Crawford, thanks for being with us, okay?
Thank you for having me.
We'll be back soon now with another edition of Partners in Public Safety. And remember, reach out to these folks who are here to protect us and work with us each day. They need your assistance in doing their jobs even better than they already do it. All right, thanks for being with us.